Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to Frankie Sense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin, girl.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
And hello there, and welcome to Frankie Sense and More. It is such a cold day here in the Great White North. As a matter of fact, we're probably going to have snow in the Great White North in a little bit. So I guess Santa's just around the corner, you know, as it has to happen sometimes. Anyway, I am really glad that I'm here and that you're here and my great guest is here. Now, she has performed over 17,000 arias to over 500,000 visitors who had the good fortune to shop at Harrods of London, one of the famous and premier luxurious department stores in the world, while she was singing. She sung for heads of state, including royalty. She opened up the first venue for the Vancouver Olympics, and she shared the stage with Jackie Chan in Beijing. She even made a television appearance with Andrea Bocelli. She was featured on 2 albums, one in the UK and Canada, including the Harrods Opera Collection. So if you weren't in Harrods, you can still hear her sing. And as a featured artist on The Sound of Freedom, where she was also a collaborator and penned a song with Beatle producer Gilles Martin. Strangely enough, her career began in the military, and when it took a sharp turn, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But my guest today has a love for cosplay, saving animals, and of course, music. Come venture into the Universal Valley and meet Alexandria Beck. Hi.
Hi.
Do you want us to call you Alexandria, Ali, or Alex?
Whoa, whichever is fine, as long as you call me.
As long as I call
me anything you want.
I have a son, Alex, and a partner, Alex. So Alex comes out pretty easy. But
yeah, Alex is fine. Whatever.
I'll try to, whatever you like. We're going to be really fortunate today because we also are going to hear some of Ali's music, which is lots of fun, and they're all 3 are so different that it's absolutely incredible. Now, you tell us that your singing career, actually started in the military, which is phenomenal because you didn't really know that you could sing.
No, as you can tell, well, reading the bio about me, it's like a little bit crazy. Yeah, I know, it's insane. So I think I was just listening back to the things that I've done, and I think I just get bored easily or something. I'm not sure, but it's fun, you're trying to live 10 different lives in one. I'm trying to pack it in. So I guess I started actually playing saxophone, in school band, as you do. And then my favorite movie, Out of Africa, has a scene with Robert Redford where he's playing for the Monkees, and it's Mozart's Clarinet Concerto in B flat, the second movement. And I fell in love with the emotion of it so much that I thought, I'm going to play clarinet. And first my
well, let me stop. You're talking really, really fast. I'm just going to stop you for a sec. What kind of sax did you play?
Oh, well, that's a story, too. I wanted to play alto sax, but my music teacher said that I was tall for my age, so I had to play the tenor.
Oh, okay.
Which makes no sense at all.
Well, I play tenor.
Oh, did you?
And I'm only 5'1", so it is heavy. Maybe that's what it was.
It's ridiculously heavy.
Yeah, and it really hurts your neck.
Oh, yeah, no. Elementary school and junior high was finding ways to bring my sax to school, like using a luggage cart, all the things I walked. It was awful.
Yeah. I can imagine.
So you remember playing tenor sax. There's not that many people that do. I think there were 2 tenor sax players in the band, and my music
I've heard it in university. Yeah.
So then my music teacher didn't want me to change to clarinet because there's lots of clarinetists, but I decided I've always been a little bit rebellious. So during the school year, I practiced clarinet and got a teacher, in my own time. And then the next year, I just showed off my clarinet, and he couldn't say anything about it. So that's how I started clarinet. And then my mom at work, she was there, and there's this man that worked there, and he was wearing this uniform, and she asked him, why are you wearing this uniform or whatever at work? And he said he was in this military band, and she said that I was a clarinetist, and he said they were looking for a clarinetist. So I went and I auditioned, and then that's how I joined the Army band at 16.
So when you were 16, what kind of music were you listening to?
Strangely, well, I don't know, strangely.
I mean,
well,
did you like classical music? Was that something that you enjoyed, or?
I like all different kinds of music. What drew me to classical in particular was the emotion, the depth, and I'm also a bit of a perfectionist, and classical music is extremely difficult, so I think I wanted to give myself that challenge of it. And then the singing part was kind of strange too, because
well, wait, so let me stop, because I want to go back. The guy said, hey, join the military band. So when you join a military band, are you part of the military? Like, what do you have to do to be able to be part of the band? Are you just like a civilian, or what?
I was in a reserve band, 15th Field Artillery Band in Vancouver, and
are they cadets, or
no? It's not cadets. It's the military. It's just reserve. So there's reserve and there's reg force. Reg force are the people that it's their whole life. That's their career. Reserve means you do it on a part-time basis, but you're still to be called up for whatever they need you for. And I had to do 7 weeks of basic training in Wainwright, Alberta.
So when you were in reserve, what area did they put you in?
So I was in the artillery unit, but I was in the band.
Yeah. Okay. So if by chance you get called up to war, what would you like be shooting your clarinet? Like, what would you?
Well, I think the band would be called last.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
And probably in a more helping arena. If you still have to like update your skills, I had to learn how to throw grenades and shoot machine guns and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. But the band would be more, I think, on that.
Well, congratulations for getting through basic training, because I know it's not easy. I know it's not.
It was really scary, and I was not an athletic person by any means, and I was a very insecure child or teenager. So getting there, I think I ate my weight in food before I showed up.
Oh, wow. How old were you?
So I was 6. I was just turned 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So did you think a career in the military would be it for you, because like they offer so much, school and everything?
I wouldn't have thought that far ahead yet. I was just thinking that it was awesome. Yeah, and you're getting paid to play. So at like 16 years old and getting to travel, we went to San Diego and Hawaii and all these amazing places, and had amazing experiences, and I got paid to do it. So I kind of missed out, I think, on the normal childhood. I didn't get to go do the parties and stuff, because on weekends I was traveling and playing with adults. Yeah.
But that's cool.
It was really cool. It had its things as well.
So, where did this love of dress up come from?
Oh, okay. So I'll take it a step back, because for me, like the Universal Valley, everything is connected. So I got into opera because someone literally said, "Oh, you have an operatic voice," and I said, "Oh, okay," and then. Okay,
so you're 17. You're playing clarinet in a military band, and were you just going la di da di da? And so
just singing for fun. I was just singing for fun. I think I was singing in a school choir, and my friend's father, who was the trumpet professor at UBC, had said to my parents, "I think she should take singing lessons."
That's University of British Columbia for the Americans.
yeah, in Vancouver on the west side. Yeah. So he had suggested to my parents I should take singing lessons. I started singing lessons. I had my first recital. It was quite significant for me, because before that I had wanted to be a concert clarinetist, but my nerves always got in the way when I played. So when I sang for the first time, it was, even though my legs were shaking like crazy under my dress, I felt this. It was so great to just not have the instrument in between the audience and myself. It was just me and the audience and the emotion of the song and the character. And so a person came up to me afterwards. She was one of the teachers, and she said, "Have you ever considered doing a career in in singing?" And I said, I hadn't thought of it for singing, but I think it makes sense. So that then followed through with finding out I had a classical voice, which then took me to opera school.
What did that feel like?
Singing opera?
What did it feel like the first time you went, and you're going, oh my God, that just came out of me? Like, is it mind-blowing, or do you go, oh, that's just me?
For me, it was surreal. No, it's always been a humbling experience. When I was singing at Harrods, after, I had a career and all that, I would still go up, because I had very bad stage fright. So every time I would still go up and think, I can't do this. There's no way. Like, I'm not an opera singer. Like, this is a joke, right? Like, I can't do that. And then I would start singing, And it was like, I don't know, it's almost like something else was coming out of me. I know a lot of singers, I don't know outside of classical in this regard, but a lot of classical singers refer to their voice as being like a separate entity. We say it's, it's an it.
It's your instrument. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like it's me, it's something else. So it was like the voice took over, and it feels like, because when you classically sing, you're not singing with a microphone or
right.
And so it's resonating inside of your head. And that feeling is like this euphoric rush of excitement and adrenaline, and depending on what you're performing, mixing that in with acting, and then of course then going to the costume element, it is like it can be this overwhelming, unbelievable experience that you could be having just inside of your body. It's quite something.
So, typically when we think of opera singers and people, I don't know that many people that go to opera anymore, but I went to Havergal, and so, we were exposed to opera very young. And a lot of times you think of opera singers as middle-aged, overweight, just, bigger than life personality. And I'm sure that when people see you today, especially the last few days, they would never in a million years think that you're an opera singer.
I haven't announced my hair. I'll be announcing it on Instagram tomorrow, I believe.
Oh, okay. I won't say it out loud then. And, it's pretty extraordinary, to think that you were young. You were like 17, 18. You went to school. You were probably like, how old at Harrods? You were like 24 or something when you sang at Harrods?
Yeah, I was about 25, and I was staying there for 4 years.
So when we come back, I want to play one of your songs. So which one should we play first? Should we let them hear?
Maybe we should start with the opera because.
Okay, we'll start with the opera then. Yeah, let's start with the opera. Actually, I kind of like to start with Cocoon and then read the opera. But okay, we'll start with.
You're the host. You choose.
Okay, and I just love the last song. Oh, so good. Okay, but Ben, when we come back we're going to cue up the opera. So the what is it? Busy Dart. Yeah. Okay, great. We're going to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, you're going to hear Ali sing Opera is Beautiful. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to, hear this.
Getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
If you have a lot of spizzerinctum or the will to win, and you have a strong desire to be a part of your favorite sports team, the National Hockey League might be for you. Did you know that if both goalies on an NHL hockey team are injured, anyone at the game is eligible to step in and play the part? Teams have resorted to using their coaches, team owners, and even their web designers to fill in for injured goalies. It's as simple as slipping into your breezers or hockey pants. The original hockey puck was made out of frozen cow dung. The fastest puck shot on record was clocked at 114 miles per hour. And I'd like to take this opportunity to send out a special thanks to the men and women of our armed forces serving our country around the world.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Prevention Magazine urges us all to set smart goals for fitness. Their clever goal-setting plan is to set goals that are SMART, S-M-A-R-T. S is for specific. Don't make your goals vague or too broad. M is for measurable, which could mean a goal weight, a goal body fat percentage, number of calories burned per day, number of miles walked, number of days per week you commit to exercise, etc. A is for attainable. A great way to make your goals attainable is to break them down into smaller, achievable goals. R is for realistic. We gain confidence from goals that push us, but are also realistic. And T is for time-bound. Give yourself a time to reach these goals. You are more apt to complete them if there are urgencies. Give it a deadline. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond.
And we're back. It's Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso. My guest today is Alexandria Beck. She is the Universavali. And we are going to play her song, Visitarte, which is from the Harrods collection of songs. I'm not sure if it's still available, but you could maybe go on their website and see if their songs are available. And maybe they it's called the Harrods Opera Collection. Maybe you can find it somewhere on eBay. Who knows? But as soon as you're ready, let us know, Ben, and here we go. So you're walking in Harrods department store, and there's a balcony, and this beautiful woman dressed like, what, a princess? Or in elegant wear, and she's singing arias to you. How beautiful was that? Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Thank you.
And so did you have to learn German and Italian?
Yes, in university it was German, French, and Italian, and then through my singing career I had to sing in Latin and Czech, a variety of languages. But they have there's a way that you can learn. I mean, I don't know all of those languages. I can't have a conversation in them, but you learn it phonetically, so that helps, and then you're able to make it happen on stage.
How cool is that? Wow. That's a lot. I mean, it really is phenomenal to be able to, learn those languages. And yeah, it's hard to have a conversation, but still. You can sing. I can sing in them.
If we just talk about what's in an aria, then I can talk for days.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So what was that about?
That aria?
That opera, yeah, the Visitarte. What is that about?
It's one of my favorite composers, Puccini. It's a opera called Tosca, and like many female roles in opera, it's dramatic and usually it's fatal.
Sure,
it's a bit of a fatal moment for her, but it's for the love of art. Basically, that's the title of it. And so it's usually in operas there's arias, and then which is like, aria means song in Italian.
Sure.
And that's when they have a break in the drama of the story. So it's not, sometimes there isn't necessarily anything dramatic happening in that piece, but it's letting out the emotion of that. And then after an aria is done, then it gets into the action points where, another person, a character comes in or this and that, and it goes on with the story. But operas are quite interesting. I think a lot of people are intimidated. I mean,
yeah, they are, because I guess they think, I don't understand it. I don't know what it's going to be about.
And it's kind of unfortunate. I know the opera world, it struggles, and especially in North America, it's not ingrained into our society like it would be in Italy or Germany. But I want to say to people who maybe are intimidated by opera, they think, like you said, like it's just this middle-aged, not that that's any problem with that, but there's a stereotypical view of what an opera singer is or what opera is, and it's literally anything but, because the majority of operas are about really, like, it's almost like Shakespeare. Shakespeare can be taught by conservatives or this and that, but the stories are not. So there's rape, and there's jealousy, and there's murder, and there's things that we're dealing with, well, especially now, but there's things that we're dealing with as just a human race. So I think if people are not can look past maybe thinking they have to know what the words are necessarily, or that they need to speak the language, or they need to have studied what it means. You could literally just, go to opera or search, and search up opera on YouTube or something, and just close your eyes and listen and let the amazing orchestration guide you through the feelings. And then even just that alone gets the story across you.
And it helps sometimes just to know what the story is about before you go. And that way, you can, even if you don't know the language, you can certainly follow the acting and figure out what's going on. Absolutely. So it is beautiful, and the set designs and the costume and the orchestra and just everything. It just makes it, and people dressed up. It's so nice and elegant. Usually, today everybody, anything goes, I guess. But it's nice when it was elegant and beautiful.
And it's kind of nice doing it at Harrods was such a privilege for me to have that experience, because at Harrods, obviously, as you were saying, it is like a very luxurious department store, very famous around the world. But there's, at the time it was the second destination that tourists went after they got up. I think Big Ben was first and Harrods was second. So there's people from around the world, from all walks of life, coming, and they would go up down the escalator, hear this voice. A lot of people thought I was lip syncing, which was a little frustrating to me. Because maybe I made it look too easy or something, but I thought I would literally have people come up to me afterwards and say, "You weren't singing." No, you weren't. Like, they were convincing me that I wasn't.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It was real. But I got a chance to meet all these people, and they got to have this moment, this brief moment in their day, where they have this experience. And maybe it's just walking by, whatever. But for some, it was emotional. It was quite unique.
Little 5-year-old Allie, Alexandria. From Denmark.
My father's Danish.
Your father's Danish. And so when you were a little girl, you lived in Toronto?
I was born in Toronto, and then when I was 9, we moved to BC.
Okay. So you're a little girl, and were you designing costumes for your Barbies and stuff? Like, did you do that? I used to I love doing that. Did you do that?
I actually was taking all their clothes off. I played Barbies for a really long time. I would hide them under my bed when my friends came over, because I played for a long time. Yeah. But I'd always been fascinated by the escapism of it. So whether it was Barbies or whether it was collecting, like Harper's Bazaar or magazines, I was obsessed with the editorial stories, when they'd have Design or Galliano or whichever, and they would have a storyline like Alice in Wonderland or something, and they'd have these, 10 pages of amazing couture, dresses or whatever fits, and the makeup and the drama of it. So it was that, and I collected all these magazines, and that's how I learned how to do makeup, was by studying, looking at it and trying to figure out how did they make that, how did they create the layers. And so I think the costume element, it was definitely always a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And when I was deciding about university, which path to go, I did have a debate with myself whether it would be music, makeup, or fashion. And I went with music because that was the main thing of my whole life. Yeah. But when I had a brief stint, when I moved back from England to Canada, I had a chance to take a break, because I think I was burning out on the music front. I was so privileged to live in London, but by myself as a performer traveling the world. But when I got back from Canada, I was really tired.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So I walked into a fabric store, and I hadn't sewn in 10 years or something, and I walked in and I thought, I'm going to have an experiment where I'm just going to let the fabric guide me. So I'm going to put all the rules aside. And that was something I had struggled with as a classical singer, because I was always the rebellious one. Like when I had my career, I would smoke before I went on stage.
Oh my gosh.
I wore the shortest dresses and the highest heels, and I was always the bad girl.
The bad girl of opera.
I had the voice, but I was not good at fitting in with the constraints or the rules. So I wanted to take that with my fabric. It was a chance for me to say, I've got no one telling me what to do. I don't have a voice in my head. I'm just going to let it guide me. So I went to the store. I picked some fabrics I liked, and my mom just bought me $200 sewing machine. I don't even know why she started. I think she just wanted me to just try and get back into it. I don't know. It's things in my life have always just sort of happened. Like the path is called to me.
I'm sure that people allow you to do things like that because you're so beautiful. Beautiful people get to do all kinds of things.
We are all beautiful.
Yeah, well, some more than others.
Well, it is from inside, I swear, because before I moved to England, like I said, I was extremely insecure, and I did have after I came back from basic training. Do you remember the movie G.I. Jane?
Yeah.
So that came out just as I got back, and I was like, I'm G.I. Jane. Like I was like having this experience. So grade 12 was my most confident year, but even then, like university, it was all I didn't deal with anxiety well. I was really stressed, really insecure. But when I moved to England, because I showed up with no money, no job, and nowhere to live, and I, within a year, was privileged to be able to make myself out of something there. But that gave me the confidence, and actually my looks changed because of that.
Wow.
It was the confidence. It was actually a notable thing.
So what happened first? Like you were singing at Harrods and then you sang for royalty, or you shared the stage, or like what came first?
Well, I originally moved to England. I had wanted a break from music, and I didn't want anyone to know I was a singer, so I went for acting originally.
Oh, okay.
And I had a friend who was a producer, and they were doing an opera movie, where there was it was really about the behind the scenes, and you had to be able to sing. And so I auditioned for it, and I hadn't sung in a year and a half, and I was terrified and didn't know what I was doing. And I went and I sang, and there was a pianist there who sang it. I sang an aria, and then afterwards he said, I had told him I haven't sung in so long, this is going to be awful. And he was very nice, and he's like, I can't tell that you took a break. So I thought, maybe. And it was starting to peak out, at 3 a.m. at parties, the opera voice was coming up a little bit of a party trick. And so I remembered that someone had told me when I first moved to England, there used to be opera singers there. So I called them, and they said, how did you find out about this? And I said that someone told me before, and they said, that's so strange, because we just put out a notice just internally looking for opera singers. And I said,
I'm going to stop you there because we are going to go to a commercial break. So you just, took a chance. You called up and said, hey, I'm an opera singer. I'd like to sing in your store. I heard you used to have them. And boom, Bob's your uncle. You got a gig. How cool is that? We'll be right back.
Warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
I always get a kick out of the warning labels companies attach to prevent lawsuits from the hooky-crooky of this world. A warning label on a dishwasher cautioned not to put any person in the unit. Speaking of dishwashers, one product warning on a television remote control read, not dishwasher safe. That's too bad, because we know how dirty the remote control gets. In fact, we press the buttons even harder when we know the battery is dead. What are we, part of the ridiculati? A warning on a baby stroller read, remove child before folding. Here's one for the blunderbusses and popinjays among us. A label on a letter opener read, safety goggles recommended. Call me snarky, but any society that needs this many disclaimers has too many lawyers, pettifoggers, and snollygosters.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Low-fat foods can be healthy or unhealthy, depending on what you choose to eat. Whole foods like vegetables, fruit, beans, rice, and potatoes are all low-fat and good for you. Processed low-fat foods are a different story. Eat this, not that, says that the term low-fat is synonymous with loaded with salt and cheap carbohydrates. Many times when the fat is taken out, it is replaced by unhealthy ingredients that are not good for you. The New England Journal of Medicine found that over a 2-year span, people on low-carb diets lost 62% more body weight than those on low-fat diets. It's always important to keep your fats low while choosing good, healthy foods to eat. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
It's Frankie Sense and More, and we are back with my guest, Alexandria Beck. And on Frankie Sense, our show is always loosely aligned with United Nations Global Goals, and this is no different because Allie is a activist, a animal activist. And one of the things that she does is she puts on charity events. And this is where her cosplay comes in. Now, I want to know about why Halloween charity events, because you really get to dress up?
Yes. I love
Okay.
Halloween. Halloween is my favorite time of year. And I'd always wanted to do charity events, but the reason I chose Halloween was literally because I just thought I don't know if this sounds egotistical, but I just wanted to go to my party. I just thought my party would be so fun that I had to put it together because I couldn't find other parties as fun that I could go to.
How cool is that? So I know that this year you did a charity event for Storybook Farm. Those are the primates that live there. And I did a show on Storybook Farm, and some of you might remember the artist, Warhol.
Anita.
Yeah.
Pockets Warhol.
Pockets Warhol, who's one of the top artists in the world, primate artists in the world.
His painting is one of his paintings just got into a National Geographic children's book.
It's amazing.
So,
and and some very famous people own some. Jane Goodall, of course, owns one, and I forget his name now, the comedian in England.
Oh, Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais owns one. And I mean, they're very cool. And these animals, a lot of them came from labs and other places. And people shouldn't be keeping exotic pets. And so they're not pets at Storybook Farm. They're animals who get to live their life as they're supposed to. So how did that event go for you?
Went really, really well. We raised $4,500.
Yay.
I just announced it online yesterday.
Nice.
It was amazing. So this is my third annual event doing it. The previous years I did it for Animal Justice, they're the only law organization in Canada that worked for rights for animals, to change law or work within the law. And then I knew that I wanted to go the primate direction because I actually have a strong feeling for orangutans myself.
Oh, okay.
And when I found out about them, and I found out they were 100% volunteer run and they have no government funding, I thought I had to do it. And so the theme this year is Wizard of Oz, and it was perfect. The flying monkeys was we were a native partnership.
That was cool.
Yeah, this year I did it with someone else. So her name is Avra Epstein from Vegan Social Events, because all of the events. All the food is vegan. What I do for my events is I like to gather people from all walks of life just with my singing. So it's never a big deal for me to say, oh yeah, this is vegan, this is that, because I want people to say, oh my God, that food was amazing. And then I say, yeah, and it was vegan.
Yeah. Are you vegan? Do you keep vegan at home?
I am vegan, vegan for the animals. So I started as a vegetarian and went through, it's a journey. It's a journey for everybody. Everybody has their own experiences of their reasons why. But for me, I did it for the animals. I can handle the suffering for it. And then it made sense then, of course, to start doing my charity events. And so this year it was Storybook, and I was very
so much
happy
to talk about. We're going to run out of time. So let's talk about, and I love that you do these for animals because I'm an animal activist myself. So let's talk about the song Cocoon that we're going to play up next. It's very different from the first.
Very different. Yeah, so when I was in London, I discovered I could sing other genres and not sound like an opera singing doing so, which sort of made sense with my I'm a bad girl opera singer to break the rules.
Yeah.
So I've been working for years to work on that vocally, to be able to flip back and forth into different genres. And one of my songs during the transition of that, I released under the name Allie, which was my childhood name, and it's called Cocoon. So it's a mixture of pop vocals and opera vocals in a hopefully unique way. And then the video actually involves my cosplay because I made the costumes for the music video as well. Did
you write this song?
I did. I wrote it with Simon Wilcox and Togs. We all three met up in his amazing home, which is in the forest, and we wrote the song together. Yeah.
All right, Ben, let's go. We'll play Cocoon by Alexandria Beck.
She takes me where she wants to. Love
Wow. Very different.
Yeah.
Very cool. What a neat song. And what was that about?
So it's very simply, it was about coming out of my cocoon. So when I came back to Canada, I had a lot of struggle, and I went through chronic pain began to be part of my life, and I had PTSD from things. So writing the song was a big deal because I went into a cave, which is actually, as an aside, where it was filmed in Bonachère Caves, and there were bats there, which was cool. And I went into a cave into myself, withdrew, and so I was writing this to try to break free out of that, to break out of my cocoon, as I think a lot of people are trying to do all the time.
Yeah.
Reblossom or have a rebirth. After that, I'd released 2 other singles, and then I actually, unfortunately, went back into a bit of a struggle for myself. And now next year is the final. I'm going to retake the music part of my life and to bring it all together for Universe Valley. So it would be the music, the cosplays, and the animal aspect. It will be under a different stage name, but will be the same. Yeah. So I like to break stereotypes as much as I can, break the rules, and have an all-inclusive environment with no stereotypes. So, yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see how long we have until the end. I know that we started a little bit late, so I want to just. Okay, so because I want to make sure we get everything in that I want to get in. Okay, awesome. You, this is a very interesting story. You still have links to the military, and you told me that your grandfather was part of the Danish resistance, which is very cool, and a spy with the British Secret Service during World War II. and he was responsible for bringing Jews across the border from occupied Denmark into neutral Sweden. How cool is that? So we love Grandpa. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, he's pretty. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him. He passed away before I was born, but obviously his stories were told. And I went to Denmark to see the home of my great-grandparents, and you could see bullet holes on the side of it. And apparently that's where some of the Jews were hidden, or was in the attic. And my father at the time was living there. My dad was born in 1938, and then he was sent into occupied Denmark to live as a child. So that was a whole experience as well. So it's quite intense, actually. He ended up he used his company as a front to help fund it, helping Jews. And actually my mom's side is Jewish, so coming from both angles on this. And after the war, he ended up he eventually moved to England with my father and my uncle, and then that's how I became British citizen, even though I don't have any British blood. But I'd like to say it's because of his work as a spy that I was able to get a passport. Yeah.
And did he continue to be a spy after the war?
No. So it was a tricky time. A lot of people that became spies, used their company and used their resources. And unfortunately, the British government was not very good at compensating. So we actually have letters where he's saying, he of course was completely would do it again and no problem, but he just was looking for a job like many other people were looking for jobs. But he was lucky in that finally, by the time they had a job for him, he had already rebuilt his company. So he was lucky.
It's interesting because I don't really think of Denmark as you always kind of think of the Scandinavian countries as kind of neutral, I guess, because of Switzerland. But is it a racist country? Are they anti-Semitic?
No, absolutely not. The Jews the Denmark is a very strong country. I know it's not very known. People don't know very much about Denmark, but they were the first. They were the first. They were the first ones to say the Jews. The King of Denmark said the Jews are Danes first. So it was Sweden that was neutral, which is a little bit of a conflict issue because it's hard. You can't really be neutral during a war. You kind of have to choose one side or the other. But Denmark was absolutely not. They were just in a situation with Germany being attached to them that, they were taken over, and Danes were forced to grow crops and stuff, give the resources to the Germans so that they could be, they could feed their armies and such. But they were absolutely, it was all about Jews were Danes first. They were not racist at all.
Yeah, no, I never thought that they were. That's why it was surprising that your grandfather was doing that. But that's really cool. And then your father, he also served in the U.S. Army in Korea. And I know that we have a Korean War Museum here. Have you been to it in Ontario?
No, I haven't. I didn't know there was one in Ontario.
Yeah, I think it's around Oakville somewhere.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. No, I've been to the ones in the States, but I didn't know that there was one in Canada. That's interesting. But of course, it makes sense. There were Canadian military there.
Yeah, it's just that, like I know that you drive the 401 towards Milton and it goes to the Korean War Museum, so I figured it was somewhere around there, somewhere.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I know it's around there somewhere. So that's really neat. And then one more. You're married to a general. Like, you're married to a general.
Oh, I know. So weird. Allie and the General. It's our reality show name.
Yeah. Allie, the anti-establishment.
I know. So bizarre.
we got a minute to break. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a really quick story. How we met was actually through Remembrance Day in Green Park. So the High Commissioner of Canada had asked him to contact me to perform for Remembrance Day. And so that's how we met in England. But it kind of sums it up because on Saturday I'm performing at a ceremony that he's a part of at Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto for Remembrance Day.
My alma mater.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's where I was. Yeah, I was there almost 6 months in the hospital there. So interesting. Well, that's a great segue into our next segment. So wonderful. You're listening to Frankie Sense and More. I'm your host, Frankie Picasso, and my guest today is Alexandria Beck. She's into all kinds of things, but we're going to talk about Remembrance Day because it's coming up on November the 11th, just a few short days away.
We're just getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
When residents of Alligator Point, Florida, discovered a 400-pound gaberlunzie bear raiding their garbage, they called the local wildlife authorities. The officers came out and shot the bear with a tranquilizer dart in order to move him. Unexpectedly, the frightened bear swam out into the water, where it started to drown as the tranquilizer began taking effect. Adam Warwick, an officer from the Wildlife Commission, jumped into action, swimming towards the juggernaut bear, while the other officers tried to figure out how to rescue both of them. Adam was somehow able to grab the bear and paddle 25 yards to the shore, saving the bear's life. The bear was then loaded on a truck and transported back to its home in the forest. What's the word for a last-minute attempt to get something done? A charrette.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Word.
Finally, a show that supports women who are in the midst of a transition in midlife. The show is Second Wind. Here's what certified coach, author, and host of Second Wind, Joyce Buford, wants you to know.
It's so empowering for women to hear about other women and their accomplishments.
We all need cheerleaders, someone who's on our side.
Second Wind is that program to help women connect with other women, hear other women's stories,
In a stressful world,
find power in those stories.
learn to discover your passions and joys again. Create the life you want to live to the fullest. Join us for Second Wind with Joyce Buford, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Central, right here on the TogiNet Radio Network.
I hope you're still with us. I'm still with us, and so is my guest, Alexandria Beck. You're listening to Frankie Sense and More. It's a little different show today. I only got the one guest, but she's making up. She's like 3 or 4 people in one. Before we went to break, we were talking about the military and her family's long history in the military and how she's married to a general. And you said that you met the general because he called you up to do an event, to sing at an event? A Remembrance Day event or a Veterans Day?
It was in London. We're both
London, Ontario, or England?
London, England. Sorry, London, England. And we were both living there at the time. At that moment, I was always doing Harrods and then traveling around the world, getting to do singing for the Crown Prince of Dubai and doing all these random things.
So is he general in the English British Army or
no, in Canadian, in the Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they have people that Canadians serve all over the world.
Sure. Yeah.
Different countries. And so I had started getting involved with the Canadian embassy there and singing for, especially with the operatic voice, it worked well for those kinds of events.
Sure.
And so because of my military background, I thought maybe I should do some stuff with the military, sing for the military. And so the High Commissioner at the time had called him to ask him to get in touch with me about singing for Remembrance Day at Green Park, which is because there's a memorial there, which is right beside Buckingham Palace. Okay. And usually it's just, I think they just play a taped recording, but I thought it'd be nice to have a voice sing for the people. And so he had called me. It was, I think, November 4th, and the event was actually November 8th. And so I sang it. I think CBC News World, actually, they filmed it, and they did a news story about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And love blossomed.
It did, yeah.
Was he like when you first saw him, like, real, oh my God, he's so hot? Or did he just grow on you?
He's listening in. Oh God, I have to be careful what I say. No, actually, when I saw him, I thought he's trouble.
Yeah. Was he in uniform?
I met him in the office. So when he's working for the embassy, so they just wore suits.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the, oh my God, military guy in uniform thing.
Yeah, that's so funny. So you sang for that, and now on the 11th, just 2 more days away, actually, it's Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Poppy Day for some of those of us who were the poppies, and you have an event.
I do. I'm singing at Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto, which you said that and I'm sorry that you had to be there for so long.
Thank you.
But they have a veterans wing.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite amazing, actually. I mean, you can never, discount, as people get older and senior citizens and stuff, or they go into homes, people, I think the general public maybe discounts them or thinks they kind of just disappear. But they're amazing people who have experienced these amazing things. And there's this one man, I believe his name is Jack Ford, and he actually did war photography.
Wow.
And he did photos of Winston Churchill up close and the king and all these amazing stuff. And he's one of the people running the residence there. And I think
which reminds me, I'm going to stop you for a moment, because if those of you who are listening, if you remember, Jonathan Sands is Winston Churchill's great grandson. He's been on the show twice. No,
really?
Yeah. Wow. He's adorable, and he lives in Texas now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a coincidence.
I know. Very funny. Anyway, I had to throw that in.
Yeah.
Go back to those shows, guys. He wrote a book about his great papa. He says, my great grandpapa. He, God and Churchill. Okay. So you got this event, Sunnybrook at the Veterans Hospital. Yeah, you're right. People do tend to discount the elderly. They think, they're slow. What do they know? But they've had amazing life adventures, and everybody's going to get old one day, folks. And you're going to be one of those people with amazing life adventures, and people are going to ignore you because, hey, you're not fast anymore.
And our population is aging, so there will be more older people than there are now. So,
and the younger people aren't having kids, and so you guys are going to really lose out because who's going to visit you on the holidays?
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you going to cook for? Yeah. That's what I keep telling my kids anyway.
Yeah, I keep reminding them, don't forget about me.
Yeah, don't forget about me. My son told me, don't make that your long-term plan to move in.
Little does he know, it is.
It's difficult. It is difficult for young people today because they are the sandwich generation. They've got their parents who are elderly and aging and need help, and yet they still have their own kids to deal with, and it's a tough position. But a nice one in a way if you can look after your children. But to sing and do something for the veterans, very soon there won't be any left from the First World War. They're very few and far between now. And, those are the people who have the memories.
Yeah, they've experienced, if we think we had it tough, life was completely different back then. During the Depression, during, going through these experiences, they joined up, when they were teenagers, thinking it was just going to be a fun little weekend, a summer.
Well, they were told, weren't they? Yeah. They were told, this is, be a man, join, it's going to be so much fun, big adventures. Yeah. And they were sold a bill of goods. And when they landed on the shores of Normandy, oh my God, right?
I know. can't even imagine it.
Memorial Day.
So I guess it's funny that I did marry someone who and a general in the military. But as I think back, I guess it kind of made sense as my lineage, and I do believe in honoring people and experiences and struggle, and I'm very much about the underdog. So
you wrote the song "You Keep Us Free," and when did you write it?
So I wrote it. I wrote it in England.
Okay.
With Giles Martin, who's the son of Sir George Martin, who was the Beatles producer, and then Giles has taken over that reign and done a lot of stuff for the Beatles work. And we did it in Air Studios, which is actually a really famous studio in London Sir George Martin started, and we did it upstairs at the very top, in this little attic thing. Yeah. We're writing. It was very cool, and we wrote it for this album that I had been asked to come over to Canada. That's kind of the reason I came back to Canada, was to do this album that was featured on called The Sound of Freedom, and it was to help military families in Canada. Nice. And so we wrote this song, and it's about it's called "You Keep Us Free." So obviously the title kind of makes sense, what it's about. But it's basically just I was trying to find a way to give back, and with only limited understanding from my point of view. At that point, I wasn't a military spouse, so now it's an even more understanding of what it's like. But it's just about giving back.
Let's play, Ben.
When you're disillusioned and far away from home, I'm right beside you. I'm strong when you are gone. You missed your daughter's birthday. Daddy, you're not home. But baby, don't you worry. Others need you more. Faith in you is the key. You give your life, it's plain to see. We're safe at home. You keep us free. I know you wanna be here when nighttime falls, but other people need you to help them when they call. Love is what carries me. My faith in you is the key. You give your life, it's plain to see. We're safe at home. You keep us free. The days and nights grow longer every time that we're apart. My love for you grows stronger, and forever in my heart. You're in my heart.
All right, beautiful, just beautiful. Love that song so much.
Thank you.
And each song, you're so very different on it. It's extraordinary to hear that. I wanted to talk to I don't know, something just came up in my head. And Ben, I'd like you to chime in too if you want, being military. But the shooting that happened in Texas, one of the things I was thinking about was that this was somebody who had, tried to join the military, was kind of kicked out of the military for whatever behavior or, not being able to join, whatever. But, is it possible that, and I think it is, that soldiers aren't being debriefed, that maybe everybody needs to be debriefed because of PSTD, or that everybody who is in the military just needs to undergo something before they're actually really let go back into society? Because it just seems that so many of these acts of terror and violence, in North America are from military people who are either in the military or just out of the military, or who went AWOL in the military. And I think that we're failing them somehow. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Ben wanted to say something first. So, I mean, PTSD is a huge aspect to not just military people, but people in general. And I think, I mean, for Canada, I can only say so much, but the CDS is trying to put people more at the forefront. And making sure that there is recovery for PTS. I don't want to say victims because this is a negative spin. Survivors, exactly. And so I think I personally think yes, we need, as someone who's especially for the underdogs, people who have struggle. I think that people need more resources. They need more help, and they need more understanding from everybody. I know, obviously, in the States, it's a very patriotic country. Canada, we're not so open about our feelings about that. And I think that there's a bit of a disservice because a lot of people.
Oh, we've only got a minute left. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Ahead,
so I was just going to say, so people and the military families, struggles tremendously. Just moving from one post to another post is a struggle in itself, let alone going to Afghanistan or whichever. So, I agree with you. I do think that there needs to be more help.
Yeah, something to think about, everybody. But our hearts and prayers still go out to those families of last weekend who was just a horrific event. Alexandria, I am so pleased that you're able to, join me today, and we got to, learn a little bit more about the universe of Allie.
Thank you so much. I feel very privileged for this is my first chance actually getting an opportunity to speak about everything that I do in one, so I really appreciate it.
And I can't wait till next year when you put it all together and we see what you're going to come up with then. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. Frankie Sense and More. I'm your host, Frankie Picasso. Alexandria Becca was my guest, and we will see you again next week. Oh, happy Thanksgiving. Next week we won't be here.
Hit Rash Production. Shit, now you